This is before 7 o'clock. Today I arrived here earlier.
Possible toilets, they are actually at my 2 o'clock, okay? Colleagues behind. Good evening, fellow Singaporeans. First and foremost, can I share a personal story? Many younger couples today face similar challenges, maybe outdated, but support for their return is limited. My fellow Singaporeans, much more can be done to guarantee a permanent job at the end. Stepping away to care for loved ones should not be a step back. And it's not just about career breaks. Even taking time off to care for a sick child. Why? That policies only matter when they work for real people. Dan untuk mengesan kemudian anda.
I'm also not sorry that I didn't come from Choa Chu Kang GRC. Or that I'm special friends with Lawrence Wong. The first number I want to share is 2.06. $2.06. $1,055. This is the monthly allowance for an NSF third sergeant. Sa Tiao. Is this really enough? Raising a child in Singapore today is not easy. Limited parental leave, long BTO wait times, and they definitely don't need to worry about whether wonton mee costs $5 or pasta costs $18. 61,780. Whatever you do, make your vote count and make your voice heard. Vote for the Workers' Party.
Being rational, respectable, responsible. Only this year, in 2025, a scheme took shape. Later, allowances went up. It pushed again this year, and they went up again. Is our system perfect? No. But is it fairer because the Workers' Party was there, picking up? Yes. People watch the Parliament live stream, just a few hundred people. But we fight for you. Some people try to label us PAP light. One step to the left. If you want a preview of the sensible PAP policies of 2030, vote for WP in 2025. To shape a better future starting right now. It's always ready to work for Singapore. Thank you. Thank you very much. And for those behind who can't hear the speakers well, please turn on the live streaming on your handphone to hear our passion better. Okay, next up, our Kakina, Mr. Louis Hua Keng Hui from the Sengkang GRC. To keep opposition voices in WPMP's in Parliament. 当时的两家管理代理公司，的最好的市政理事会之一，是获得绿色的评级。当然，我们的电，如果你把票投给工人党，毕竟分标本来就是盛港的一部分。
After 2 years, I decided this was not for me. So I took a leap of faith and moved into financial law in the Monetary Authority of Singapore. And when I left, I continued to stay in the financial industry. About the increasing cost and stress of bringing up children in Singapore. This is not asking for handouts. It is trying to take care of ourselves with our own money. And discussions had already taken place behind closed doors. That some people have friends in higher places where they can ask for special help, even for national programs apparently. Is this right? No! Can you accept this? No! This is our nation. We are the stakeholders. Involve us in the decisions, especially when they are taken in our name and on our behalf. Kalau kita, parti pekerja, diundi masuk rancangan peringkat kebangsaan atau national level plans seperti daerah digital Punggol, masih akan diteruskan. Jangan bimbang.
We are unable to admit any more people into the rally. Thank you for your understanding and cooperation. Please continue to support us by watching the live streaming on your mobile phones. Good evening to our 280,000 bosses. It is now a standard playbook. They give out ever more vouchers. More SG60 vouchers, CDC vouchers, GST vouchers, USAVE vouchers. For companies, more tax breaks, more tax relief. That such measures are short-term, address only the symptoms, but the continued dependence on them suggests a problem with the system itself. Stubbornly stuck to a land pricing formula that embeds the price of land into public housing valuations, effectively passing on the potential bubble in land prices on to resale HDB flats. The PAP no better ideas on how to address these problems other than more handout and more voucher. High cost of living and homemade structural problem demanding structural solutions since they were manufactured by the PAP. See that rent gets passed through to everything else without acknowledging that their land policy is a problem. How can the PAP solve the problem of high cost of living? Now that prices are already high, the only way we can all cope with the rising cost of living is to have our incomes rise. We will then worry less if our salaries have adjusted accordingly. But the government has been too passive in urging businesses to embrace the sorely needed adjustments. They have stubbornly refused to adjust how CPF pays interest, even as retirees' hard-earned nest eggs are eaten up. Decades and decades of parliamentary supermajority that the PAP has enjoyed has bred policy complacency, good ideas, and necessary reforms that are able to address the complex and evolving problems of the 21st century. Now the PAP calls for unity. The Workers' Party believes in a united Singapore. We must not blindly unite in voting for the PAP. Some have suggested that the PAP is trying to conjure up the politics of fear to scare voters into choosing a safe harbor in turbulent times. How can we be sure that a one-party government will take your concerns seriously?
向内走道，而不仅仅是严副总理所说的，因为反而 Miss 孙雪玲 said, "We do not need strangers to come to Punggol." May I ask, is she referring to DPM Gan Kim Yong too? Or is he exempted because he's good friend of PM Lawrence Wong? Is this the kind of leadership that we want to endorse? Is this the political culture we want to pass on to our children? Where success isn't about fairness, but about connections? Why are we only comparing with countries that falter? Why do we assume Singaporeans aren't smart enough to chart our own difficult choices when all we want is progress. Say no to falling for the same trick twice because we deserve better. Punggol residents, it's now your turn to stand up for all Singaporeans. Go to them and vote Workers' Party, working for Singapore. Thank you.
Thank you for support. Do we look like strangers to you?
Tonight, I would like to speak to you about the women candidates that the Workers' Party is fielding at this election. In Parliament, I have been called many names and been fiercely attacked by some ministers. But I fought back with everything I had. And luckily for me, my husband found these qualities attractive. There are many studies that show that countries where people are the happiest also tend to have relatively more women in political leadership positions. I called for the government to measure whether its policies have resulted in happiness. My friends, it was 22 years ago that I was elected as the chair of the Workers' Party. 22 years ago. I have outlasted 4 male chairmen of the PAP. This year, I'm pleased to report that WP is fielding 6 women. They are women of substance who will speak up for you fearlessly and defend your interests in Parliament. She's effectively bilingual, as you saw, in English and Chinese, and spent her childhood abroad due to family circumstances. She has proven herself more than capable of handling her parliamentary duties and being chairman of the Sengkang Town Council, all while being the mother of 3 children under the age of 10. So my friends, looking at our slate of female candidates this GE, all I can say is, Mama Bear here is proud. Our dear voters, if these candidates do not get elected this time, there may be no next time. Electoral boundaries may change. So let May the 3rd, 2025 be your moment. Vote for stronger Singapore. Vote for the Workers' Party.
Workers' Party! Workers' Party! Workers' Party! Workers' Party!
Okay, good news, guys. Okay, the crowd situation has improved. Operators can stand up, move forward so that more people can feel our passion. Okay, please move forward slowly, please. Next up, our candidate for Jalan Kayu single member constituency. Our one and only Andre Lohuyang.
At the hawker center, from retirees to working adults, why should ordinary families have to pay the same rates as those who live in GCBs and black and whites, with wine cellars, lifts at home, and multiple aircons running 24/7? 这公平吗？不公平。这合理吗？不合理。The wait time was just 2 to 3 years. Our times have changed. Policies should change too. I have no doubt my opponent is a good man. I have nothing against him personally, but what he represents is a party that has allowed these issues to fester. Over the past week, a string of PAP prime ministers, past and present, have lined up to ask Singaporeans for a strong mandate. I say we send them a strong message. Vote for change, vote for hope, vote for the Workers' Party. Thank you and good night.
You can ask your friends and family in Sengkang. Has the condition of Sengkang gone down after the Workers' Party took over? Absolutely not. We run Punggol GRC if elected. 2 words, we listen. Punggol GRC residents, you know best. Rest assured, you will drive the agenda for what needs to be done in Punggol, and we will be your servants. Vote us in, you will get the caliber of our team without having to pay 1 cent in ministerial salaries. Punggol would have saved Singapore a 3-minister salary. $1 million times 3 times 5 years, that's $15 million. Please, Mr. Finance Minister, Mr. Prime Minister, return some of that to Punggol. Because that $15 million was not raised but through GST or other taxes. It is brought to Singapore by the voters of Punggol GRC. Why did they have to parachute in DPM gun at the very last minute? I have said publicly in my interview to the Straits Times that I do not want to be parachuted in anywhere safe. So why did they parachute DPM gun into Punggol at the last minute? Why are they so insecure? I will tell you why. They know they have not given Punggol GRC residents their all. Mr. Gan Kim Yong has said that he will speak with his good friend, PM and Finance Minister Lawrence Wong, on funding for more walkways. If the infrastructure is good for residents, we too can ask for it, and that money must be provided because it is your money. Isn't that a risk, they say, that we might lose DPM gun if we vote for the Workers' Party? I like DPM gun. We have met on the ground several times during this campaign, and he's a very pleasant person. Who put DPM at risk in Punggol GRC? Let me tell you, there is really no worry about DPM leaving because he is 65 years old and has candidly admitted initially he was not keen to accept the DPM role. So we can thank DPM Gun for his service, but he reflects the past, not the future. DPM Gun can still continue to contribute to Singapore even if he's not a political office holder. Remember Mr. Auntie. You know, the government can make 2 roles available for Mr. Auntie and Mr. DPM Gun after this election, and they can keep each other company. Election is not about whether you have senior office holders in this GRC, it's about the future direction of this country. The PAP has lost their bearings, and let me explain why. Just a few days ago, Mr. Lawrence Wong said, or warned against voting more opposition MPs because he said that will mean an additional wealth tax to those living in private estates and landed property. You know, I cannot imagine a statement that is more out of touch with what is happening on the ground and the anxiety of Singaporeans. Singapore's inequality has skyrocketed, and the Prime Minister is practically saying to everyone, vote for the PAP so the rich in private estates and landed property do not have to worry about paying more from proposals on increasing the wealth tax. When the Prime Minister or the PAP warns about more taxes for landed property owners, you know who they're worried about. It is not you. What is critical for us on the other side is fair politics and accountability. A lot has been said about the Allianz deal. Mr. Ng Chee Meng was head of NTUC at the time, and he saw no problem with it. Make no mistake, he dropped the ball. We now know DPM Gun also had a role in the transaction because he was chairman of MAS, the regulator ultimately deciding whether to approve this transaction or not. Mr. Tan Sri has now written an open letter to all residents of Punggol GRC asking serious questions of DPM Gun. So let me say this to DPM Gun. Will you answer Mr. Tan Sri questions being asked on behalf of all Singaporeans? And DPM Gun, if you will not answer, please tell us why you will not answer. Because this is about accountability. Real leadership never fears scrutiny. Will there be instability if you vote the opposition? The answer is no. Make no mistake, in this election, the PAP will be returned to power. Mr. Lawrence Wong will be Prime Minister. He will be supported by the civil service, and President Tharman is there as the final check. And you will have a strong, loyal opposition. My friends, that does not weaken Singapore. That makes Singapore stronger. True stability comes from confidence, not from controlling 90% of Parliament. Your vote is going to be an important signal to the government. They will be looking at two things. What is the PAP's vote in this election? Will it go below 60%, and if so, how much? 58, 57, 56? And they will be looking at how many more GRCs and SMCs does the Workers' Party and other opposition MPs secure. That is your strongest message to the government about what they need to do. Use their power. When you get into the voting booth, Punggol GRC residents, you're not voting just for Punggol. You are voting for the future direction of Singapore. And the hopes of thousands and thousands and thousands of Singaporeans are in your hands. And you'll be voting not just for present generations, but generations unborn who will thank you if you open up Singapore to the Workers' Party with a stronger presence in Parliament. It's a huge privilege you have. You can shape history. You can bend it in a more positive direction. Don't miss this opportunity. The time for change is now. Bless you all. Vote Workers' Party.
Which ruling party anywhere in the world increased goods and services taxes when the winds of inflation were raging the strongest? Turbocharged inflation with a consumption tax hike. Nobody did except the PAP. During the budget debate this year, the Prime Minister responded to my speech asking, how did the PAP turbocharge inflation? The Monetary Authority of Singapore, which is under the Prime Minister's office, told Parliament in 2024 that a GST hike could increase inflation by up to 40%. Singaporeans have had to tighten our belts due to the worst inflation we have seen in decades. Everything is more expensive. Even these elections are more expensive. In 2020, each candidate could spend $4 per voter. Now, the elections department has increased this to $5 per voter. 25% more. Not 2% more. Huh? There is still time for the PAP to admit to this and apologize. Polling day is on Saturday. All the surpluses for this term, as per our constitution, have been locked up in the reserves and cannot be used for current spending. A political party which claims it has the back of Singaporeans should not worsen cost of living pain by increasing GST when inflation is already raging. One PAP MP in Parliament, in supporting the PAP GST hike, said that while, and I quote, "we do not like any pain at all, a little little pain is necessary because it is what makes us alert, it is what keeps us alive. We are already in pain because of global inflation. Why must you make things worse? But even as we wait long for a satisfactory answer, we must ask a fundamental question. All of us must ask a fundamental question. How does the PAP get away with such decisions, such as increasing GST at such a bad time? GST increases. Why elect us? Let me give you two reasons. One reason is this. The PAP cares deeply about its percentage of votes and the number of seats it wins. Vote share and seats are how PAP politicians judge each other. These are the PAP's KPIs. You as the voter can tell the PAP what you want by voting for the Workers' Party. When the PAP loses votes and seats to the Workers' Party, it has to take corrective action. It will think twice or even 3 times before further raising the GST or implementing other policies that people object to. Or at the very least, the PAP will consider the timing of their policies much more carefully. That would be an excellent outcome for Singapore. Second reason to vote the Workers' Party is this. When there are Workers' Party MPs in Parliament, we ask the questions that Singaporeans want to ask. The PAP has no choice but to try to justify its decisions and actions in Parliament. And when we offer alternative policies, we put such options into public discussion. On the use of the reserves to fight COVID, the Workers' Party, specifically the Sengkang GRC MP Mr. Louis Chua, asked the PAP a direct question in Parliament. And it was this. After the largest withdrawal of our reserves since independence to fight COVID, he asked, were our total reserves higher or lower than before COVID? The PAP couldn't even give a straight answer. Instead, the PAP said the reserves continue to grow. That was not the question. The PAP just answered the question. As for DPM Gan Kim Yong, the leader of the PAP Punggol GRC team, should Punggol voters choose him and his team? Let me share a fact about Mr. Gan. November 2024, just last year, he was not elected into the PAP Central Executive Committee. This is very strange for a Deputy Prime Minister. Could it be that he was ready to retire and did not plan to run in these elections? Can he be so critical to the PM's plans? You mean the PM has no one else in his cabinet that can negotiate with the United States on tariffs? To quote Senior Minister Lee Hsien Loong, "Si liao lah." Remember what happened to DPM Heng when he abandoned Tampines GRC at the last minute to contest East Coast GRC in GE 2020. He was supposed to be our next Prime Minister, all lined up, ready to take off. But then the PAP tells us, sorry, runway too short. DPM Heng has now retired from politics, but I'm sure he will continue to contribute to Singapore. Voters of Punggol, Mr. Gan Kim Yong is older than the now retired DPM Heng. If elected, in my view, he's going to be a one-term MP. DPM Gan says he and the PM are friends. I am sorry, Punggol, but I cannot say that the Prime Minister and I are friends. Do I need to be his friend for taxpayer funding to be allocated to Punggol? No! As a Singaporean, I expect fair allocation of taxpayer resources to all our people. In my ward of Yusof in Aljunied GRC, despite being in Workers' Party's hands for the last 14 years, a polyclinic will open next year. Eastern General Hospital is also under construction in the Yusof ward of Aljunied GRC. There are 2 MRT stations in my ward, both of which were built after 2011. Punggol will be well served. And if not, I invite the PAP Punggol team to list for the people of Punggol which projects and which initiatives you will cancel if you lose Punggol. Say so now. See how much you really care for the residents of Punggol. 3 of them being political office holders. Do you think they can question the government? No. They are the government. Who will ask the hard questions in Parliament if there are concerns from Punggol residents? Only the WP Punggol candidates. One PAP MP, in order to promote skills upgrading, proposed that university degrees should expire after 5 years. I think their super majority, the overconfidence created by having more than 90% of the seats in Parliament is the reason why. We parents are supposed to spend a bomb on their children's university education only for the degree to expire. And this is after negotiating one of the most stressful education systems in the world. Why should our degrees expire? So that the PAP can push skills upgrading through crazy ideas that don't make sense. It is really tough for the opposition to assemble a slate as strong as the one you have before you in Harpeet Singh, Alexis, Jackson Rao, the PAP does not need your vote to form the government, but your vote is really precious for the Workers' Party. You see how the PAP government shifts electoral boundaries every 5 years. McPherson SMC, where they secured a healthy majority in the past elections, suddenly became part of Marine Parade GRC. Is this acceptable? The terrain in Punggol is different. How much can the PAP government shift electoral boundaries here? The PAP government's electoral boundary review committee cannot merge Punggol GRC into Johor. So Punggol, you can send a strong message to the PAP. You can change some electoral boundaries every year, but don't mess with Punggol. My dear voters of Punggol, if you vote the Workers' Party, you will be doing an incredible service to the nation. You will show the PAP the limits and futility of redrawing boundaries and announcing them just 1 or 2 months before general elections. But if you vote for the Workers' Party, it will also be in line with PM Lawrence Wong's Forward Singapore vision of a new social compact with Singaporeans. One where all of us matter equally. Workers' Party! Workers' Party! Workers' Party! Working for Singapore. Thank you.
In this changed world, I have a vision for Singapore. A healthier Singapore. A healthier Singapore where we don't just react to illness, but have space for health to flourish.
Oh my god, start to jam already.
You know, they should block the traffic and let people out in the streets quickly. The police are patrolling.
Nope, you're just on time.
Ah, finally.
Mindset.